I would say that up to the minute, we're still undecided on that. You know what I mean? We've got a strong belief that his 3-point shooting is going to come around, and that he's going to grow as a defender for us, and a lead defender. So, we're still continuing to evaluate those things, and because of that, the role is not going to be consistent just yet.
Frank, to take one last look back at Minnesota, you told us, you want that small lineup to kind of figure it out, especially with rebounding and some of those things that they were struggling on. When do you kind of determine as a coach that there are necessary concepts that, hey, we're going to kind of live or die with this lineup, we got to sink or swim? What's sort of the trigger for you to go to that measure?
It's really a feel thing. You use your gut, use your instincts. Whether you're winning the game or not, is the most obvious one. We were still winning, even though Minnesota was hurting us on the boards, because you're benefiting from the offensive space. So if that benefit outweighs, with the ways you're getting hurt on the glass, then you stay with it. But obviously if we're not getting those benefits, or the glass is hurting us to the point where, the game is going to get out of hand or we're going to lose a game, then, obviously you make those adjustments at that point. But it's really just an instinctual thing. And, we're really trying to commit to looking at all the angles of this style of play while we're, playing small, and see what it all looks like, and, sometimes you have to struggle in certain stretches to learn about, what it can do. So, it's just something that we're feeling out.
Coach, what did you envision Malik's role to be when you guys signed him, and what do you make of this recent stretch he's been on these last 5 games or so?
Well, I'm not surprised about this recent stretch. We saw him do this last year, in Charlotte. We know what he's capable of offensively. And, the vision of his role was really to keep an open mind. All these guys that we signed on minimum contracts, we just knew what they were capable of, and didn't really have a feel or a plan as to, definitely was going to be in the starting lineup, with Russ, Brown, and AD. There was going to be 2 spots in there that were going to be filled, from any of these guys, whether it was, Bays or Trevor or, Malik, or Wayne, Carmelo potentially. We looked at all these things, and, you just watch the guys play in training camp, and as the season progresses, and, you feel those things out. You look at certain stretches where you can experiment early in the season like we did, trying certain guys in starting lineups versus off the bench, and see what it looks like and feels like. So, we did feel like the one thing I will say is we did feel in terms of a role standpoint that he was going to be a contributor for us, that he fit really well, with Russ and Bron in particular, from the standpoint of him being a second side scorer in a catch and shoot situations, but also being able to put the ball in his hands and, being a guy that defenders would have to go over.
Frank, what was it? Talk about kind of knowing and projecting roles. I would imagine it would have been hard to project one for Austin, considering the way he kind of was an undrafted player in a 2-way. What was it early in the season that made you trust him? Was it a particular element of his game or something that you saw that made you believe, like, yeah, he's good, we can just put him out there?
Well, from the time you watch him play on his college tapes, when I watched him in the summer before we, didn't draft him, but before we picked him up, we knew that the kid had some ability. You watch him play in summer league and you see what he can do on both sides of the ball. And, when you sign him to the 15-man, the 15th spot, I definitely didn't envision him being a rotational player, early on. Me trusting him was more brought on to me because of he was forced into action due to injuries, and you get shorthanded, and it's like, okay, let's see what he can do. And he excelled in those opportunities to the point where, when other guys came back, we still wanted to keep him in there. And, obviously he's been in and out of the lineup too, but, he's just, he's playing really solid basketball on both ends.
Frank, on the topic of roles, you have Austin and Avery were the 14th and 15th guys signed heading into the season. You have a guy like Stanley who potentially now has a role, coming mid-season. With you guys starting to get healthier, Kendrick potentially coming back soon. Do you have an idea of what the 9 to 10 man rotation kind of looks like with everybody, especially with maybe some guys you were initially expecting not to play that much, having kind of earned roles at this point?
Yeah, I have an idea, but it still really is all to still be played out. I mean, Kendrick's going to get a ton of minutes when he gets back healthy. It's going to be at the expense of somebody else, at least for that time being, to see how he fits in our system along with our stars. And, all that stuff will play out. So, I mean, I have a general idea, but, a lot of it is still to be determined.